Hey, welcome to another episode of the Jon Gil Show. And on this episode, I'm super excited to have on Michael Oliver of Purpose Companies, based out of Columbus, Ohio. He's currently working on a 123 unit ground up development out there. And I'm super thankful for him to be on the program and share his journey and how he's able to execute this program. And also want to thank Greg Dickerson with Dickerson International, who actually connected us. I'm super grateful and appreciative of that. So, hey, Michael, thanks so much for coming onto the program.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, likewise. So, let's dive right into it. You're currently working on an amazing ground up development out there in Columbus. Can you talk to us about, just before we even go into the background, the groundwork that was laid out for you to even get into a project of this size? Because it's your first development, right?
It is. It is my first development of this size. So I actually started in single family. I've been an entrepreneur for pretty much my entire life. Some odd jobs here and there, that didn't really last long. But I got into real estate back in 2018. Started with single family, wholesaling, doing a lot of fix and flip. We did about 100 or so fix and flip projects over a 2-year span. In that time, I did some land development. I worked with a lot of investors. I would do some entitlement stuff and sell it off to investors. And really just kind of one thing led to another. Some relationships and introductions led me to this opportunity. Really, I knew I wanted to kind of grow into, the multifamily space and bigger projects, but didn't know how it was going to happen. And so it kind of came out of nowhere. And, I reached out to some other developers initially, looking to maybe partner and learn. And, I don't think it was a big enough project really at the time for them, because it started off as actually only 88 units. It was only 4.5 acres. It was 88 units. And I got approvals and entitlements on that. But the opportunity to expand the project to another 2.5 acres, making it 7 acres total. When that opportunity came, then I went back through the entitlement process and got final approval for 153 units. So it's 153 units. That's made up of 129 apartments and 24 townhomes. And a friend of mine introduced me to. It was a church who was living. They were reaching a maturity date, and they really needed to move some things around in order to, keep the church alive. And I was able to come in at the right time, and it was a mutual benefit to us both.
That's fantastic. So this deal was found, because one of the big questions is, so where do you get the deals? How do you get the deals?
Right.
Was this something that came from you said it came through a church?
Yeah. So kind of getting a little bit more into the story. I was flipping homes in it's a suburb about 15 minutes east of Columbus. And we were flipping homes all over Columbus. And I'm flipping a home in Reynoldsburg in this little town. I'm pulling permits, and the down at the permit office, they say, "Hey, are you looking to do any more deals in this area? We know of one. If you can get a hold of the gentleman, then you'd be doing us a favor. We haven't been able to get a hold of them. We don't really know what's going on." So they give me the address, and we had a system set up. So I just called down to the office, gave them the address. About 10, 15 minutes later, they called me, gave me the information. We called the gentleman. Come to find out, it was a son. He had a power of attorney over his father's home, and they just were looking to get out of it. And so we took that property, and I used it as an opportunity to return the favor to the gentleman who introduced me to the home that I was flipping already. And so I went back to him and said, "Hey, I was pulling a permit, came across another property. I just really want to show my appreciation for you bringing me this opportunity." I kind of felt like it was a domino effect. And I said, "If you have a buyer, he was a realtor. I said, if you have a buyer, then you can represent me, represent the buyer, make a commission." And come to find out, his buyer was actually the mayor of this little city.
Oh,
And so
wow.
he called me back about 45 minutes later, and we're writing up the deal. The mayor was looking to purchase a property for his daughter-in-law or something. and he introduced me to the development director of that area. They were doing some updates to the zoning, really looking to encourage development in that area. And so that development director introduced me to the pastor of this church. So,
Wow.
really just one person introduced me to another person, and I spoke to the church. We were able to negotiate a good price, and the rest was history.
And that's awesome, because again, that goes to, you never know where the next deal is going to come from, but you just keep, opening doors and building relationships. And how important would you say that relationships have been to your overall success?
I think they're very important. My previous businesses, they were more so about just working with a factory. I've had businesses in clothing, wine and spirits. I had a dump truck, just all of these different businesses, and relationships never mattered as much as they do in real estate. Real estate is all about relationships. Even, the story I just told, me going back to that, realtor, he's a realtor broker, and saying, hey, I just want to return a favor. I think that is really how you build relationships, being someone who can introduce somebody else, being a connector, always looking to do right. And so I think that really forged strong relationships and allow, you can do deals just off of relationships.
That's right. That's right. Do you, just curious, do you have your real estate license?
No. So
that's what I try to. Yeah. Okay. So I mentioned that only because, people think that you need to have your real estate license in order to be successful in real estate. You're a prime example of the case that, you don't need it. So can you explain that a little bit? Why?
Yeah. For me, I just never really been about doing it the traditional way. I think that a lot of times, and this is no knock to being a realtor. I think that it's a place, right? But when we started to wholesale homes, we realized that as a seller or someone who is in a tight position, they need options, they need choices, right? And so selling their home on a market isn't always the best solution for them. And so by realizing that, you can sell your home three different ways. You can do it for sale by owner, you can list with a realtor, or you can sell directly to an investor. And so we really only make up about 3%, maybe 5% of the entire market, but it's a very, very important piece because just listing on the market isn't the best option for everybody. And so once I found that out, I realized that being an investor also allows me not to have to kind of fit into a box, right? And all of the rules and regulations, and it allows me to be a lot more creative in my problem solving, deal finding, and putting together deals.
Absolutely. And how important would you say building up to this how important would you say that the flips were to getting into this specific deal right now, right? Because this is like a culmination of all those other deals and now getting into this. Had you tried doing it the other way around and going straight into a large scale development, would you say that it would be that much more difficult had you just tried going straight into this versus just, slowly building up? Because some people just want to go straight into the,
right.
To the big, deal.
And into a big deal. I think that everyone's path is different, right? For me, I think that I learned a lot. I was able to build relationships. We talk about how important relationships are. I was able to build really strong relationships with private investors, with investors looking to purchase homes and offload land and that sort of thing, build relationships with title companies. So those relationships were forged through single family. I also think that the experience, right? I was able to learn the land development side of it by doing some townhomes, by doing some condos, by doing some single family land development stuff, and kind of, taking one bite at a time, right? And not trying to, bite off more than I can chew. And right. So I was able to learn, I think 2 years is fast. Well, 3 years. I did my first 2 flips in 18, the rest came in 19 and 20. And so, it was just really a learning process, but I dove right in. I think it's about taking action, but I really think that for me, that was the best path.
Yeah, you can see that because, to be able to wholesale and flip that many amount of real estate in 2 years, as you had mentioned. I mean, even that's a lot of properties, a lot of logistics. A lot of work is needed for that. So it seems like you were off to a head start already. I mean, you've done some, not a head start, but you set yourself apart day one. It seems like. So congrats to that. Now, this project specifically, let's talk about the deal.
Sure.
How long has it taken for you to get the entitlements that you needed? And how does that differ versus, say, you said you did some other development before. So how does that differ from like that smaller deal? Is it the same timeline?
The smaller deals, I think, well, the timeline is a little bit longer. It's a lot more politics involved, right? When there's a lot of neighborhoods that really don't want apartments, right? They don't want rental properties. And so you really have to find that balance between what the neighborhood wants and what's best for that city, and try to come in right in between. And so in this particular project, we have a mix of apartments and townhomes, which the townhomes we could condo them off and sell them if we like, and really kind of find that balance between the neighbors in that area not really wanting a bunch of rental properties, and I guess the mentality idea behind apartments, and then also how good it is for the city, the taxes, the school district, that sort of thing. And so I think that the timeline is a lot longer because it's a bigger project, but the steps are the same, going through the process. This process, it's been roughly 2 years. And a lot of that is because we originally had 88 units approved, and where, we could have just broke ground on the 88 units and then, maybe did a different type of project on the 2.5 acres when it came later. We went back through the process, and that right there is really kind of like going back into the lion's den, because to get the approval one time, and you have the neighbors and everyone has an opinion,
right,
what's important to them, but then to go back through. And so we had to give up a little bit, to get what we wanted to get, but the process kind of was a little bit longer. So it's been about 2 years up to this point.
Got it. And let's talk about the financing. How difficult or how easy was it to get financing for a project of this size?
Yeah. So, this project is a syndication, and a lot of projects that come together, especially a developer my size, they come together through syndication. And so that was one of the huge areas within, the multifamily space that was a learning curve for me. I've been able to flip a lot of houses through relationships with private lenders, people who maybe have money in a retirement account, or, money they just looking to invest. But it's on a larger scale. And so, even on this project right now, I'm still looking to connect with, a key principal, which is someone who would come aboard, right, and sit alongside me in the general partner space.
Right.
General partner, limited partner, that general partner space, and be able to guarantee the loan. And so the way that these projects are financed are completely different than projects within the single family space. And so a lot of it is really, the bank pairing the debt with the equity. And so in order to qualify for that, you need a track record. You need to have a certain net worth, typically equivalent to the loan. And so all of those things don't typically come, your first time around. And so you end up partnering with someone who can kind of fill that role for you, or other developers.
And what sort of down payment requirements are needed usually for something like this?
Yes, so it varies, but typically, anywhere between 10-15%, typically that's raised through equity, limited partners, usually in a syndication. And so, in a project like this, it's $23 million. We're going to be raising roughly 5.6 million, something like that. And plus, we were able to really earn and create a lot of equity within the land. And so that helps as well.
Absolutely. And so what is your goal for this project? Is there a specific hold time? Are you looking to exit at a certain time? You're trying to grow the portfolio? What's the vision?
That's a great question. So I think, for me, a minority in this space, I think my vision is to really be kind of trailblaze, right? And to help get more minorities in this space. I think that, really generational wealth is created through multifamily real estate. And so the biggest, I guess the biggest goal for me is to be able to use this project and be an example, to be an inspiration, but also be able to, look back and help others get forward and get to this position and be able to do a bigger project. So, right now I'm looking to get this project, get it out of the ground, refinance it, and then hold it for, 7 to 10 years.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. And just grow the portfolio. At some point, are you looking to maybe expand in different markets as well? Or are you looking just to grow, in Columbus and then expand?
Yeah, another great question. So yeah, definitely looking to expand. I travel a lot. And so, I really enjoy Georgia, Atlanta. I enjoy Cincinnati and Cleveland. And so, really focusing on Columbus. Dayton is another area that's really growing close to me. But definitely we want to get into kind of the Eastern Seaboard, North Carolina, South Carolina, and then kind of expand from there. I got lofty goals. I mean, we want to have $3 billion assets under management. And so, in order to grow to that size, we really got to look into, as many markets that fit the business plan as possible.
Exactly. And how important would you say management is also to the, so, when I look at a project, like this, especially in a hold, there's three key components, right? It's like, you got to get the right deal. You have to have the great construction crew, and then management. How important would you say each of those are? And what are you doing to prepare for all of those three? That someone else needs to be in that space. How can they also prepare for that? Like, what are the key traits to look for?
That's a really good question. So, one of the things that I try to do is I try to really align myself with people who've done this, even if they're not a part of this project. You mentioned Greg. Greg has been huge for me. I took a course from him, and then later on start working with him on a coach basis. So I do a lot of, I reach out and try to get a lot of information, education through other masterminds and that sort of thing. And so, each area that you mentioned is very important. And by having, the experience of other operators, I'm able to kind of know what questions to ask, what to look for, and how to kind of mitigate risk. So, I think that risk is never to be avoided, is to be mitigated. And so, understanding what things to look for is huge. That's with the property management company. That's with the general contractor, and even within our team, right, in the asset management side. And so it's really about having, so for instance, kind of going back to the financing projects like this, experience is another thing that's huge. And so even throughout this whole process, I look for a property management company that had a ton of experience. It's been around 60 plus years. And I brought them in early in order to understand and be able to get feedback on them, and deliver a product, know that we were building and delivering a product to the market that the market would want, right? That the kitchens, the layout of the kitchens were correct, the floor plans, the size of the units, all of those things, they come from the experience of a property management company that is active in that market. And kind of going back to the GC side. So on that part of it, I went out and actually saw the GC that has also done development. And so they're able to understand budgets a little bit differently, able to see things from my eyes as opposed to just from a general contractor side. And so it's really, really important to have all of those areas dialed in with people who are experienced.
I love it. I love it. No, what a great answer. And I think that's the key secret sauce, having the right team, with the right, with the experience, that can, they've already laid down the foundation, and you're tapping into their expertise. So I love it.
Yes.
Now, what about the, as far as inspiration, who do you look for as far as inspiration goes? Do you have any other key mentors, any great books that you like to read? Podcasts,
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah. So, I think books are huge. Books changed my life. When I started reading, some of the first books I read was like Napoleon Hill's.
Yes.
Keys to Success, 17 Principles of Personal Achievement. Of course, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Books like that really just opened my mind up to, what's possible, and that there's really no limits to life. And, to everybody, your purpose or what you want to achieve may not be, a ton of material things. It may not be a bunch of money, but understanding what fulfills you and being able to understand how to use your mind to pursue those things in a way that, you're not working yourself to death, right? You're not chasing your tail, but you're able to be very, very intentional about everything that you do.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So books are huge.
Yeah, books are huge for sure. And it's amazing that, when I interview a lot of different real estate investors, everyone kind of says around the same, Napoleon Hill was a big one. So I love to see that, it's unbelievable to me how anyway, that we're all connected in a certain way. And especially through that book specifically, it has built the foundation for a lot of people. So go out and read that book if you haven't already done so, right?
That book is life-changing.
Life-changing, right?
Yeah, now, for sure.
The other thing is, how do you deal with adversity? When things go wrong your way, what do you do? Do you meditate? Do you just take a
that's
few
a great question.
Yeah, call it a day.
I think you really have to understand that this whole life that we live, it's already, ordained, it's preordained. We're just living out our part. And so I think for me, it's all about faith, having faith in something greater than myself and understanding that, being stressed out or trying to force something isn't the way, being able to you mentioned meditation. Meditation is huge. Taking a second, being silent and really allowing your subconscious and allowing the universe or God or, whatever you believe in to kind of light your path. And with that, understanding what decisions. So I kind of, one of the quotes I follow is that decisions are easy when your values are clear, right? And I think that, when you deal with adversity and stuff like that, a lot of it is decision making. And so if you can really take a second and doubt and take a step back and remember what your values are, remember what your why is or what the goals are, then, the right decision will open up. And adversity is just a part of the process. You got to fall in love with the process.
You got to fall in love with the process. That's huge. And that's true. And if anyone's looking to partner, now you said that, you're raising funds actively, or you might have closed out the raise right now, but if anyone's looking to partner up with you or would like to learn a little bit more about some of your offerings, how can they best reach you?
I appreciate that. Yeah. So we're going to be raising soon. Right now, I'm looking, like I said, I mentioned, to partner with a key principal, a loan grantor, someone who is looking to come aboard a project like this. I can be found all over social media and my website. My website is purposecompanies.com, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, all Purpose Companies. And then my Instagram is Mogul Mike Oliver. So I can be found on Instagram as well, LinkedIn, Mike
Repeat
Oliver.
that one more time. What is that?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. It's Mogul Mike Oliver, like real estate mogul.
Okay. Oh, mogul. Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah,
Mogul Mike Oliver. Perfect.
Yes. So, I got a vision that everybody is a mogul of their own life, right? And so Mogul Mike Oliver is really about becoming a mogul of your life.
Absolutely.
But I'm on Instagram, on LinkedIn, all over the place. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, I want to thank you for coming on to the show. If there's any other last points that you want to shoot out to anyone listening before we sign off.
No, I just want to, thank you again, for having me. I think that, it gives me an opportunity to share my story, to connect with people, and to build with people like you. I'm very appreciative. And so I just want to thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Well, Mike, it's been great. Michael, I'm sorry, Michael, it's been great. And, want to invite you back on the show when you've completed that project. Would love to know everything that you went through from, from breaking ground to, the management. So, looking forward to having you back on.
Happily. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks so much again and enjoy the day.
You too. Have a good one.
Thanks.